Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm Sethum and welcome back to another video guide for Conan Exiles. This time again, I am on Sipta again, but this is a guide meant for Conan Exiles in general, so this will work on the Exile lands as well. And this is for how to make how to get the padding. Of course, the padding requires oil from the hardened leather. So over here, I have placed down all the things that you will need. This is I'd call it passive way of getting the oil which is required for the hardened leather, which then of course the hardened leather itself is required for two types of the padding. So first things first, over here we have the tanner's table, and as you can see, to make the hardened leather you require oil. Now of course I haven't got a thrall in here, and if you don't have a thrall, say for example you are on the Isle of Sipta and haven't yet got a thrall for this, you will end up using quite a bit of oil. Now let's look at the armorer's bench over here. I've just placed a random one. I'm going to show you the tinker's bench first, and as you can see, to craft the advanced weapon damage kit, of course, will also require oil. So oil is an important element that you will need in the game. Of course, it is not necessarily easy to get, but I'm going to show you a way that kind of works for you passively. It's all just passively, so you don't have to go and gather it. And of course, as you can see right here, we need the hardened leather for the padding. And I'm going to show you all the padding. Again, hardened leather. So the amount of hardened leather is quite high, if that makes sense. Quite a bit of hardened leather right there is required for this. So that means we need a lot of oil. So now let's talk about getting oil. Now, before we even get into the getting oil part, I've got the dismantling bench. I do suggest you dismantle everything that you don't need, armors included, and you might get some padding from the higher level or tier types of armors. Right here, as you can see, I've got the compost heap. We've got some compost in there, and you can of course stack these, and it will generate fat grubs for you. This is quite important. So what I've done here is I have pressed the middle the mouse wheel, and that basically aligns the compost heap to the terrain. So then that allows me to stack it. It does not stack perfectly, and I'm a bit anal about wanting things to look nice just for role-playing purposes, but you can stack them so you can put them in such a manner that they don't necessarily require a lot of space, and over time they will generate grubs. Now grubs do have a spoil timer. It is not all that great, but as you're doing your own thing in the game, this is a good way of getting the grubs. It's also a good method for getting a lot of grubs because you can stack these things, which makes no sense, but hey ho, I didn't design this. I'm just showing you what I have come across. So we'll just do that. So these last three compost heaps that I have placed down, I've just placed in the compost, and we're going to carry on to the next bits of this video, and by the time we come back to them, you will see that we have grubs in them. Now I said that the grubs do have a spoil timer, so how do we preserve these guys? As you can see, the spoil timer is very short, so basically you just drop them in the improved preservation box or the normal preservation box. As you can see, the last three compost heaps that I put down has started to generate grubs. So you then basically go from time to time to your compost heaps, pick up the grubs that it has generated. You want to do this fairly frequently because of the spoil timer on these things, and so you keep grabbing them. The compost inside it will not be consumed as far as I can see, but it will generate the grubs. And so as you can see, 17 grubs right there, fairly easy to get. I did nothing for them. I just did a bit of building, and I've got a ton of grubs. Now that I've got the grubs, we're going to use these in the fish trap. And so we're going to have to place down a couple of fish traps, fill them up with the grubs. I recommend just putting in a stack of 50 grubs per fish trap. I'm going to be using the improved fish trap for this. It does yield the best type of result. And down here you will see that I've already set up some stuff. We have a few fish traps going on for us, and they should have started to generate some fish, and from the fish we will then obviously put them in the fluid press. But as you can see, the numbers don't really match up. So what's happened here, again, the spoil timer for the fat grub continues to count down even in the fish trap, so they will spoil quite a bit, quite a bit of the grubs will spoil, but we'll also get some fish. And of course, whilst in the fish trap, they do seem to spoil as well. So you will lose a bit, if that makes sense, in terms of the amount of fish that you can get per stack of 50, which is why I recommend only putting in a stack of 50 insects, whatever you choose to go for. But the grub is fairly easy to get, so might as well just go with that. You don't have to waste time going around harvesting it. You can do this passively. So obviously the fish traps will passively generate the fish for you, providing that you put the fat grub in there. And of course the compost bin, you just have to put the compost in and it will generate the fat grub. Now I'm going to spawn in a bunch of fish and I'm going to show you the ratios. I've done that in the previous video, but if this video is about the padding and the padding does require the oil, might as well show you how to, or what ratios you get in terms of oil from each type of fish. So this is where the fluid press comes in. So the fish to oil ratio has changed slightly here. We're gonna start with the unappetizing fish. I'll put this in there. We'll see how much oil we get from this. So I consumed 10 fish, gave us 1 oil basically. It'll give us 1 oil per 10 stack of unappetizing fish. Very important that to note right there, because they used to give quite a bit in the past. We'll wait for this to finish producing, then we will put in the next lot of fish and we'll show you exactly what we get from it. So let's move this out here. We're going to put in the savory fish right now. It consumed 5 and it gave us 1. So basically the ratio is 5 fish will produce 1 oil. Slightly better than the unappetizing fish. And then we're going to go on to the exotic fish, which yields the best result. If you've seen my previous video, you'll know what I mean. So I'll take the oil out of this just to keep it simple. And as you can see, it is a 1-to-1 ratio, meaning that 1 fish will give you 1 oil. It's probably the best one that you want to put in. So that's pretty much it. That's kind of how to get the oil this way, and the padding as well. Oil for the padding and whatever else you need it. Now in terms of the padding, you can get padding in another way, slightly passive if you want to call it that. So what I suggest is you have a dismantling bench, and all the armor bits and pieces, or all the pieces of armor that you get that you don't want, just take them back to your base, drop them in the dismantling bench, and then dismantle them. This will help you with generally all types of resources, but also included the padding. Of course, the higher, better quality stuff that you put in there in terms of armor, the better the results will be. So I personally recommend that you put all of the epic stuff that you come across that you don't want, drop them into the dismantling bench, and that is also a good source of getting all types of padding for the more advanced armor sets that you will want to craft. And with that being said and done, that is pretty much it for this video, folks. That's all I had to show. I do hope that you have enjoyed it and found it useful and informative. If you have, please don't forget to support me and the channel by hitting that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and haven't already for more similar content from myself. And if you have just subscribed, why not check out some of my other videos and guides here on this channel? Who knows, you might just enjoy them. And don't forget to hit that bell icon so that you get notified when I upload new videos and content to the channel. Also, for those interested, you can always find me on the Sethtopia Discord. Links to this, of course, you can find down below in the video's description. And until next time, stay safe, folks.